Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of the GreeneScene Podcast. I am Dolly Throckmorton, your host today, and I'm accompanied by Bret Moore.
Morning.
Editor of the GreeneScene, and Vicky Hughes.
Hello.
Vice President and CFO of Direct Results, and also the Assistant Editor of the GreeneScene. And our special guest here this morning is Ronnie Gaskins. He is a paranormal enthusiast from Bridgeport, West Virginia. So, Ronnie, we have some questions for you today, I'm sure. First off, just a little bit about your background and what you do for a living and how you got interested in paranormal investigations.
Well, give you a Cliff Notes version. I'm born and raised in Clarksburg, West Virginia. Grew up Catholic. Went to Notre Dame High School. Graduated in 1998. Went to Fairmont State. Got a degree in criminal justice. I am second generation law enforcement, so I got into the State Police Academy in 2003. April 2004, graduated, and since then I've worked at different detachments throughout the state. But my interest in paranormal actually started, I would say, early 2000s. And so it was like a summer day. It was really hot out. And me and my dad, we were working on my bedroom at the old house in Clarksburg. And he had mentioned that, there was dust everywhere. We're tearing up plaster. So, just to set the scene up. And he had said, your grandfather, being my paternal grandfather, had helped him build something or do something in that room years prior or whatever. And my dad stepped out of the room. And I remember as a kid, because my grandfather died, I was probably 10 or 11. And I always associated him with the smell like a pipe tobacco, a really sweet pipe tobacco smell. Every time I smelled that tobacco, I knew he was nearby. So my dad leaves the room, goes downstairs, and I'm just kind of standing there, and I get hit with a huge burst of sweet pipe tobacco smell. I'm like, oh, wow. And then just went away like that. And then my dad came back in the room. I didn't mention it. I didn't want him to think I was making something up, but that's when it really was like, okay, that's kind of weird.
Yes. I think it's interesting that a lot of people smells how important that is in our memory.
Yes.
Right? Certain smells, whether it's a perfume, pipe, cigar, whatever it is, that seems to bring back very strong memories for a lot of people. So for you, it wasn't necessarily something on the job that provoked you to have an interest in this. It was more of a personal experience.
Yes, and I don't even think I was even in police work yet. I might have still been in college. So
okay.
This is even before.
So you were a lot younger before your job. So there was nothing in your career, in your employment, that that you ever came across that you couldn't explain? Any kind of crime scenes, accidents, anything where that you said, oh, maybe I can't really explain this?
Not on the job. I've had some personal experiences after my shift at home.
Okay.
But I don't know if this is like paranormal related or it was like a poltergeist thing, because there were times in my career I'd be in very, very high stress situations.
Oh, sure.
There's a lot going on at work or whatever, and then just unexplainable things would happen. Like, for instance, my wife started talking to me. She said, "What did you say?" I was like, "I didn't say anything," and she had heard my voice, and it wasn't me talking to her. I had that same experience where I heard her say, "Ronnie." I said, "What do you want?" And then she said, "I didn't say anything. What are you talking about?" "Well, I heard you." So we both had that experience. Probably it was weird. So it was like fall time, and our garage door was open, but we had shoes kind of scattered around the garage. And I always got mad at my wife for leaving the shoes, because I like to organize the shoes.
Sure.
I said, "You need to put these shoes away." So I go outside the garage one day, and just in a random spot, there's these shoes just lined up like horizontally across the garage floor. But what's weird is, like, the right shoe and the left shoe didn't match. They were opposite of each other. My wife would never do that if she's even playing a prank. So I was like, "Did you line these shoes up in the garage?" She's like, "No." So, there's been some weird, bizarre.
It was like a game almost.
Yeah.
I mean, that isn't how you left it. So who came in and did that?
I have no idea. So, but nothing like really on the job. It's just been some weird occurrences off duty, you could say.
Okay. So you kind of consider yourself a paranormal investigator, and kind of got interested in in it based on, a smell, really, is how it all got started. So what are some of the places, and specifically, let's talk about Greene County, since this is a GreeneScene podcast. What are some places that you visited in Greene County that you feel have some paranormal activity?
I like Greene County and Waynesburg has been very good to us, very open to paranormal investigations. We had our first hunt at the Greene County Historical Society Museum where we met with Matt Cumberledge.
Okay.
What happened was, so Chris Berry, he's the founder of the team. We were actually supposed to investigate the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum.
Okay. So let's talk about, so you have a specific team
Yes.
that you work with.
Yes.
Do they have a name?
So it's called ECHOS. It's
Okay.
for East Coast Haunting Operations Society.
Okay. Nice.
So there's
Okay.
like 7 of us. So some of the team members live down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Oh, okay.
You got teams.
So you're from all over, really.
Yeah, pretty
and you
much.
kind of get together for these different events.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. So tell us about the asylum, where that is too, because some of our listeners might not know where that is.
That's a famous paranormal site. And located in Weston, West Virginia. It's
Sure.
I think it's the second largest hand-cut sandstone building in the world, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And it was built during the time of the Civil War. So there were Civil War camps out in front of the yard.
Okay.
But anyways, we were supposed to do an investigation there, and I think it was just a misunderstanding in communication, but the price was way higher than what we thought it was going to cost.
Okay.
So we showed up, check in hand. Well, you're like $1,000 short. It's like,
Wow.
Whoa, okay.
Right.
What do we do now? So my wife, she's from Greene County, Pennsylvania. She grew up in Waynesburg, and she said, "Did you guys not contact the Greene County Historical Society Museum?" Like, no, we haven't. We happened to call. Matt Cumberledge answered, and he graciously allowed us to do a hunt there that same day. So we didn't have to
nice.
plan ahead of time. He was like, "Yeah, come on up," and
Wonderful.
And then the following day, my wife had suggested the Denny House. I'd never heard of it, and she told me a little bit about it. I called the Denny House, and I talked to the owner. Is it Pam? Pam. And she said, "Well, you need to talk to Andy." So she gave me Andy's number. I called Andy, and he's like, "Yeah, come on up." So we were very lucky to get 2 hunts like that right off the bat.
Nice.
Back to back. So we've had the Greene County Historical Society. We've had the Denny House. We've also investigated the Bowlby Library, which which we really enjoyed, and the Huffman House.
Yes.
You're familiar with
which
that?
is not far from the Denny House,
So
correct?
we've done the Huffman
Yes.
House. We did one other place in Uniontown. It was they called it the Jewish Center. It was set to be torn down, but I don't know what's going on with that.
Not exactly familiar with that, but I am familiar with all the places in Waynesburg that you
Yes.
spoke of. So how about tell us, something that you experienced at the Greene County Historical Society for some of our listeners.
I've never ever experienced it before until that day. So I've always heard of the knock test. So people would say, if I knock 3 times, can you please replicate that knock?
Okay.
So to just kind of set it up, we were on the women's ward. It's like on the 2nd floor. And I had my camera situated on another team member, Steve White. He was he was down the hall a couple doors. To my right was Chris Berry. He was in the doorway. So he has a camera on Nick DeMedici. He's also a team member. He was in a room with the headphones on. He was doing a spirit box session.
Okay.
So he's got headphones on. He's sitting down. He can't hear us. And Chris is standing in the doorway. I have my camera on Steve. Steve goes down the hall, and Steve does like 3 knocks. Mm-hmm. We hear, I think it was like 2 or 3 distinct knocks. And you can see on camera, Chris Berry and I looked to our right. Mm-hmm. We thought it was Nick that did the knocks. It was that loud and distinct that we thought Nick did the knocks. But then we were like, how would Nick know to knock?
Because he has headphones on,
Right.
And he can't hear. Okay.
Right. So on playback, you don't see Nick moving his hands. We had talked to him after the session. He said, "I didn't knock." You can hear those knocks very distinct in that room. And then on camera, again, you can see us turn right towards Nick. That's how confident we were that it was Nick. That's why we weren't on camera like, "Oh, wow, did you hear that?" But on playback, we discovered it wasn't him that did the knock. So that was pretty cool.
Yes, yes. So that was one of the situations that you had the Greene County Historical Society, and then you also went to the Denny House. So what type of things did you find at the Denny House? If Pam Marisa was here today, she could give us a really great background on the Denny House. I don't know if you would like to do that, Vicky.
I am not as well versed with the historical information, although Andy has shared, and I have toured with friends many times, and he has shared some information about the Denny sisters, their love for music and education. And he's also shared some interesting stories about some of the candles, specifically in one of the bedrooms that have been moved, and that they feel the Denny sister who occupied that room would not be happy with the fact that there are now, I don't know what you call them, battery operated candles.
So they're not, wax candles.
No.
Correct.
So
I could see that. I could see that.
yeah,
Yes.
there have been things like that. Also, they believe a spirit of a young child, I believe, named Jack. Does that sound right, Bret?
Yes, I have heard that too.
And a dog that they've talked about.
I have heard the dog too.
Yes. So I don't know
there
about
have
the dog.
been-
I've heard about the candle story too.
Yes.
So you went to the Denny House then during that same trip that you came up or event that you went to the Greene County Historical Society. So besides candles being moved or blown out or whatever or turned off, I guess in that case, because you couldn't blow them out, right? They were battery powered. What type of findings did you happen upon
And if
at
I
the
could
Denny
just
House?
interject for a
Yes,
second.
please.
Can you talk a little bit about the technology you guys use? Besides cameras, are there any electronic devices you use?
So
specifically?
early on in our investigations, we had like your typical stationary cameras. We had EVP recorders.
EVP, that's what I was trying to think
Yes.
of, yeah.
Right.
Which is electronic
Electronic voice phenomena.
voice
Right.
phenomena. That's right.
But as we've done a total of 8 hunts, so over the course of those 8 hunts, I've acquired more pieces of equipment, and I'm not paid to endorse Ghost Stop, but that's where I buy most of my equipment is through Ghost Stop. But we have there's a thing called like a light wire where there's like an LED strip. It's like 8 foot long cord, and it can measure temperature increases in heat. It can also detect drops in temperature.
Okay.
And if you would stand over the light wire, it would highlight that something had stood over it. So it would turn white because you'll see like a blue light constantly scanning. So it's scanning for any type of anomalies or temperature changes. So we got equipment like that.
Okay.
We have it's the newest equipment. It's called Hydra from Ghost Stop. And it kind of looks like a big octopus. There's like a base and then there's like 5 light wires that stretch out from it. So it looks like an octopus laying on the ground. And they can also measure like EMF spikes. It can measure temperature changes. It can same thing. If something steps over it, it'll highlight that something was possibly in motion above it. I got infrared full spectrum cameras, which I've caught some interesting anomalies on that. And I'm trying to think, there was another equipment, a flux. It has like a red and a green light, so something would motion on it on the right side, it would highlight red, or something on the left side highlight green. So we got different types of.
So quite actually a lot of equipment. When you think about it, a lot of sophisticated equipment to try to iron out what all these things you're hearing by temperature changes. What about sound? So that is just strict recording would be picking up any sounds that you might hear. Like, for example, the knocks you talked about.
There was other instances that we've heard knocking with our own ears.
Sure.
Okay, so at the Greene County Historical Society, we're unpacking the equipment. We're not fully set up. We're just talking about game plan, how we're going to do this, and who's going to do what. And then right above us, we hear boots, someone wearing boots walking above us on the floor. And that was one of the claims that Matt said people could hear people walking above them. So we went upstairs and looked. There's nobody up there. So
Right. Sure.
we didn't
sure.
capture that, but we did hear it.
But you heard it. Right. Right. Well, I think that I had my middle sister was director out there at the Historical Society for many years ago. And she always said that there was footsteps when there was nobody there. She'd be there by herself. She would turn all the lights off, go back, those lights are turned on. Or lights that she turned on were now turned off. Or places that were severely cold, or definitely temperature changes, for sure. Doors opening and shutting, all those kinds of things were definitely, she 100% said that was happening. So let's go back to this. So the Denny House. So let's talk about some of the things you found at the Denny House.
Which, by the way,
If
I
anything-
love the Denny House.
Yes, it's great.
I
It's
love
great.
it.
And for our listeners, I guess we should give a little plug. The Denny House is open to the public every Thursday from 5 to 9. So they have drinks, they have food, and they're also doing a dinner special every Thursday now, and that changes up, and it's been great. So
Plus,
And music.
Yes,
And
plus
and
great
live
music, right?
of course, yeah. So we, it is available, and that would be in the Carriage House. So that's the building behind the Denny House. So a really great place to socialize and get some, meet up with people, get some drinks, and
Well,
so that's really great.
And I was recently there for the 20s murder mystery dinner.
Oh yes, yes,
So that was
yes,
good.
yes. So there's our little plug for the Denny House because we have to do that.
The recent one?
Yes.
You were there for the recent one?
Yes.
Yes.
I forget who won that.
I don't know because I was away.
I
I didn't get to
did.
go. Yeah. Oh, you did. Oh, well.
Yeah,
big-
I knew somebody. Yeah, it was me.
Somebody.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Bret Moore, the winner of the murder mystery. We're so proud of you. Not surprised. Not surprised. Okay, so back to paranormal investigation. So tell us some things that maybe you heard, you saw, you recorded, you felt at the Denny House.
Well, part of our team, what we like to do is, yes, we would love to capture evidence.
Oh, of
but
course,
can
sure.
Are there things that we can debunk? So we look at that too.
Yes.
Kind of back to the candles. So Andy had talked a lot about the candles, and I'm not saying there's nothing paranormal that anyone has ever experienced with those. I know Andy's son had one thrown at him. So we try to capture
well, that's
anything.
a little violent.
Yes.
Yes.
We try to capture things that we can help corroborate the claims, but we also look for, can we debunk things? Are there things that
Sure.
are explainable? Some of the candles were, like the base of the candles were very small, and they're easily like maneuverable in the base of the like the candle holder. So they're not
Okay.
like, stuck in there.
Right.
They're really loose at the bottom. The one candles, I think it's Josephine's room or Mary's room, somewhere in there. The candles are mounted on the wall. So sometimes when a really big truck drives on the main street, it can
The vibration can knock it out of the
vibrate
holder.
and rattle the candles a little bit. Now, but I'm not saying that there's nothing paranormal that
You're just trying to
yes.
like
A plausible
exhaust
explanation.
all explanations, correct?
So those are just things just to keep in mind. Anyways, so it was early on in the investigation. Chris Berry, he's downstairs and he's at home base, and he's got the monitors and we got the walkie. Steve White and then Chris's mom, Candace, they're in, I think, Josephine's room. I go up the top of the steps and I make that right, and to my left, I think, is the original owner's bedroom. I can't remember the dad's name, but that was his bedroom on the left. As soon as you top the steps and there's that bedroom on the left, it has the big window overlooking Main Street.
Okay. Right. Sure.
So
sure.
and it's completely dark in there. I can't see other than I have like this little light from the video camera. So I'm using that to kind of walk through the room
Sure.
because I can't see, and I'm worried about hitting my shin or something on the table. So as I'm making my way into the room, I think it was like a parlor or something. There's a table in there, and there's like a recliner. Chris had radioed me on the mic, and he said, "Hey, there's a peeker behind you." I was like, "What?" Apparently, he saw a shadow figure in the doorway looking at me, and then just dart back in the bedroom real quick. Mm-hmm. So we tried to debunk that, but my movements and my emotions don't match what was seen on the video with the shadow. The shadow did like a quick dart, and you can just see me slowly walking through that room. Chris found other footage where I walked back in that room to place a recorder down on the table, and that shadow never it never came back. So we tried to say that, well, that wasn't me that cast that shadow the first time, because if you watch this video here, there's no shadow behind me.
So you're repeating really
Yes.
what you did to try to get that same shadow to come back, and
Yes.
it never did.
So, and Chris Berry and
Was
I,
the shadow tall? Was it short?
I couldn't really tell.
couldn't really
you
tell.
couldn't see like an actual, like a full-figured
Like
person.
it was more. Yes,
But
it
you
was,
can see like a something in motion that was black, like blacker than black,
Sure.
like a quick left or right back in that bedroom.
Okay.
What you'll see in that video is I didn't hear anything. I don't know why I did it, but as I'm walking, and this is before Chris told me about the peeker, I stopped in my tracks. I turned around, I looked back down the hallway for some reason, and I just turned around and kept on walking. So I don't know if maybe I sensed something behind me. Maybe
Right.
that's why I turned around and looked. I don't know. Once
Sure.
I cleared the room, that's when Chris told me about the peeker.
Okay. I like that description, peeker.
Yes.
I like that.
I've never heard
that either.
I've never heard
No.
that before. So
Caught me a
it's,
little off guard. Peeker.
yeah,
Shadow person,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So they're just sort of peeking in on you to
Yes.
see what you're doing in there.
In their
Very
space.
In their space, exactly, exactly. So that was one of your experiences at the Denny House. I think you also checked out another place. I know the Huffman House, which is very close to the Denny House.
Yes.
You did do some investigation there as
Yes.
well. Anything interesting that you found there?
Well, if you don't mind, we did have another shadow person
yes.
experience at Denny House.
Oh, yes. We want to hear about more peekers.
Okay. I don't know when the video will come out, hopefully soon, but Chris is telling me it's going to be 3 parts, 20-minute videos.
Oh, so
on the YouTube
listeners
channel.
will be able to find that online.
Yes,
Yes.
there's a YouTube channel, ECHOS
A
Paranormal.
YouTube channel. Okay. And we should mention that you do have an Instagram page and also a TikTok. And this is ECHOS, so Echoes. And that's where you'll be able to find some of the video that you're bringing, that you have as well. And we'll be linking that in the GreeneScene podcast as well, so that listeners can see for their own eyes what you actually captured, which
you.
is really exciting. And can you tell me again, ECHOS, what does that acronym stand for?
East Coast Haunting Operations Society.
East Coast Haunting Operations Society. Okay,
Yeah.
makes sense. Now we got it. All right, so tell us a little bit more about your experience there, the other experience you had at the Denny House. Does this involve another peeker?
Well,
Sort of.
so not long after the first incident with the peeker, we had a spirit box session, and I think it's Mary's room.
Okay, and for people that are listening that know nothing about paranormal, and I probably could have an explanation of this too, tell us about what a spirit box is.
So it's the best description I can give you, and I got this. Someone had to explain this online. I was like, I like that analogy. If anyone in here knows Transformers,
The movie Transformers?
like the cartoon.
Yes, yes.
There's a character called Bumblebee, and he had lost
yeah.
his voice, so he would use the AM/FM radio in his car to communicate to people, and he would shoot out words. That's kind
Okay.
of what that is.
Okay.
You're scanning those AM/FM radio waves, and
Okay.
then words will be produced. So we were having one of those sessions in Mary's bedroom. And Mary, from what I recall, from what Andy explained, was one of the daughters. She was very intelligent, was in the music. I think she even had like a degree in music or something from Waynesburg. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
I'm not sure about that whole. If Pam was here, she could tell us too.
I believe she studied in Paris too, didn't she?
Okay.
At one
If I'm
point?
not mistaken, I think 2 of the sisters studied in Paris and
Okay.
then returned to the United States.
That's
That's something
Yeah.
that we could do. That's another podcast idea. We just need a whole history of the Denny
Yeah.
House.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure I've heard it. I did know Josephine in my lifetime and met her, and my parents were, friendly with her. So, but that's it. That's really my extent. So,
This will all come out on the video, and I apologize. I don't remember everything that was said, but we were getting a lot of intelligent responses in the bedroom. So Chris went first, and then Steve went second.
so you're just asking questions.
We're asking questions, and we were getting a lot of intelligent responses. But anyways, like one instance, I'm wearing this looked like a fedora hat. I just was wearing it, and then Chris would say things like, "The one in the hat," like is pointing at my hat.
Okay.
So Chris is laying on the bed. He's got the headset on the spirit box, and he starts laughing. So I'm kind of looking around at his mom like, well, I've never heard him laugh like that. Moments later, Steve does the same spirit box session. He's on the bed, and I said, "Can you make Steve laugh like you did Chris?" And Steve starts laughing on command. So it threw me off. Like what? So they were explaining that this was a very flirtatious spirit, very nice flirtatious spirit. So there's nothing negative, nothing bad. It was just more like you could tell this was like a fun
loving.
Yeah, fun loving, nothing bad.
Right. Thank goodness.
Yes.
I wouldn't want to be there and have somebody telling me really evil things.
And I don't think we have it on camera, but at one point I'm sitting in one of the chairs and I have my leg crossed. And I did say it on camera that I saw it, but I saw from top to bottom a transparent orb with my own eyes just shoot down from the ceiling to the floor. And I said, hey, I saw an orb. Then we also heard a very loud bang in the room. And Candace was downstairs. So I believe Candace was downstairs. Steve, myself, and Chris were in the room. And we heard like a loud knocking or a loud banging noise. And we had radioed to Candace. Did you hear that? She said no. So I don't know what that was, if that was something outside or what, but that was interesting. So towards the end of the night, we're finishing up the investigation. We're in the like the room with the piano.
Yes,
There's
like in
that
the front.
grandfather clock.
Yes, right. It's sort of the front room on High Street. Correct.
So we're all in the room together, and as I'm sitting there, there's like a mirror, and you had like the dining room and the kitchen in the back.
Yes.
Right.
So I see a black shadow move right to left across that mirror. Chris happened to see that as well. I've seen a lot of YouTube channels where people just say, "Did you see that?" and they don't go like look for it.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm getting out of the chair. I get out of the chair. I run in the dining room and the kitchen. There's nobody in there. Like there's nobody outside. I can't. We didn't catch it on camera, but we did see a shadow. I did right to left shoot across the dining room into the kitchen. That wasn't my first time I've ever seen a shadow person, but it does put goosebumps on you when you do see
Well,
it.
I would think so.
But we did capture this on EVP around that same time.
Okay.
Steve has his recorder on, and on playback, we can hear as clear as day, as you and I are talking, a female do a sexual moan, and it was like, okay, is this pretty? I've never ever caught like a sexual moan EVP. It's always been words,
Wow,
or screaming. It was
interesting.
Yes, very interesting because of all the experiences we had upstairs in the bedroom with the flirty spirit, the real nice, it was just weird that carried on downstairs and we caught that. So that was the first time for all of us that we caught anything like that.
Wow.
Very clear.
Not what I thought you were going to say. Yeah. I felt like we were the other podcast, and
you remind me of the barn story. That's why I looked at you.
Yeah,
for that.
And Mr. Braddock said he had a groundhog as a pet. I was not thinking that was going to come out, and what you just said, that threw me. Not what I was expecting. So after that, then that obviously took you by surprise. Everybody by surprise.
It was a fun hunt. We were all laughing.
It sounds fun.
It was great. So we did investigate the Huffman House, which is like a couple blocks over from the Denny House.
Correct.
The experiences at the Denny House versus the Huffman House was night and day. Denny's friendly. It was almost like a Casper of the Friendly Ghost environment. But Huffman House, I don't have any interest in going back there.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting. So for listeners that don't know where the Huffman House is, if you are at the Way and you go to the back of the Way and there's an alleyway there, the Huffman House sits right next to it. Does that make sense?
On Rich Hill Street,
yes,
correct?
It's on Rich Hill Street. So the side of it, the front of it does come out onto Rich Hill, and the side of it is that alley, which I can't think. If you drove down that alley, it would take you to, if you were coming down Rich Hill and turned right on that alley, it would take you to the Baptist church. So you would go right behind the Way. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Toothman, they had law offices there at one point.
Glenn Toothman.
Toothman had his law office there way back, right? And also when he operated Memory Medallion, I think he operated his office out of there. So, but that's been a long time ago. That house has been, really not occupied for years at this point.
Yeah.
So,
So what type of malevolent things happened at that point?
So, me personally, I don't like to engage in like provocation with spirits because I have to be respectful and cautious when I do paranormal because I'm kind of, with my background being Catholic, I kind of have to be careful because I kind of feel like I don't want to push this.
right.
Because I don't feel every single time we might be dealing with someone that used to be alive. I do believe there are entities, dark energy that is
Right.
out there that I won't engage in. So when we did the Huffman House, it was early on. I think Andy had relayed to Chris Berry that I guess they had a medium or psychic in there at one time. They picked up on a little girl that was supposedly abused in the home, and people would see a little girl look over the balcony down the steps. So it was later on in that night, we were doing the like a dowsing rod session. And if you like the dowsing rods, and we've used that before in Gettysburg, had very good success with them. I was a doubter in the dowsing rods until my experience in Gettysburg, but
Sure. And maybe for people listening that don't know what the dowsing rods is, could you just describe them very quickly? Because some people may not know.
They're like these metal copper wires you hold in each of your hand, and they're kind of like bent like a 90 degree, and they go outwards, and they use it to find water under the ground, things like that.
Sure.
So the theory is that spirits can communicate with you moving those rods.
Right. And those rods, I mean, I've seen them before. They can move inward,
Yes.
outward, left to right, depending on the energy sometimes, right?
Yeah, I didn't believe in the rods until my
Yes.
personal experience I had with them before, but that's a whole different location.
Right.
But
Right.
so Candace, Chris's mom, she's a mother. So she was up in one of the bedrooms believed to be where the little girl used to stay. So Steve and I are upstairs. Chris is downstairs. And she starts communicating through the rods. So
Okay.
at one point, the rods would act like they were hugging her. Like they would fold inwards and just hug
Sure.
his mom and not let her go.
Sure.
Chris's mom, she's very cool. She's like matter of fact, you know what I mean? And for that night in particular, and I've been with a number of hunts with her, that was the first night that I've ever seen her get visibly upset. She started crying. She's like, I have to leave this room. I can't be in here. So
Sure.
she leaves. She does later come back, and I'm starting to get a little concerned
Sure.
because my personal belief, and I'm not trying to throw in my beliefs, but I don't believe we were dealing with an innocent deceased child. I don't
Okay.
believe we were. I believe we were probably dealing with something nefarious that was just trying to come across as a child to trick her and us into opening ourselves up to her to possibly open ourselves up to whatever. You see where I'm getting at?
Yes, I see where you're.
I just don't believe it.
Yes, I see what you're saying. That. So was that energy in that house? Could you feel that when you walked in there, like right away? So as you're saying, the Denny House was more frivolous, more happy. Did you feel that when you walked into the Huffman House that something is just not right here?
The
Did it feel
energy-
heavy? Did it feel more sinister? When you started to talk about the Huffman House versus the Denny House, I could see your whole persona kind of change. You just like sort of dropped into something else,
yes.
like you're almost like you're a little bit scared of it in a way.
Scared in a sense that I think we're dealing with something nefarious, and I just don't want to fool around with it.
Right,
And I'm
which is understandable.
And I
Yes.
told Chris personally after the hunt, I said, because his mom wanted to go back, and she felt that she could help this child. I told him, listen, I can't tell you what to do, but I personally think that it's better if she just doesn't go back there, or any of us, because I don't know what she could open herself up to, an attachment to something nefarious
Yes.
or dark. I mean, none of us were scratched. We didn't have
Right.
anything like sulfur smells, anything bad. But I just believed that it was something that would possibly try to lure her into something that for an attachment,
Right.
come across as an innocent child.
Wow.
But the energy is definitely different there versus Denny House. Denny House is fun. I had a good time. I can hang out there. Huffman House is, I don't want to go back. It's just, it has a kind of a weird vibe to it. I can't explain it.
So you mentioned the museum early. It has a history, a violent history, and a pretty ugly history. Did you notice any of that energy at the Historical Society?
The dungeon was really creepy.
Yes. I've been down there and I went on an event there and it is a little creepy down there.
Yes, because like, I mean, you've been down there. You got the chains. It's just cold. It was not uncommon for kids to be down there playing or possibly be on site on property, because we had caught we had a stationary camera at the end of the hall down in the dungeon on playback, and it is on the video, on the YouTube video. It appears to us that you see these short figures running like right to left, left to right, and they almost look like kids running. Now, I don't know if that is, I don't know if that was actually intelligent or if that was just like I can't remember the word, but it's just like a replay in time, like a residual haunting.
Okay.
That was just like memories of the kids in there that we were capturing. I don't know, but it looked like some kids were running back and forth in between the rooms down the dungeon. But that was probably the only place on site that I got a weird vibe, was because it's
Not in the upstairs.
Yeah.
Just more normal. I mean, I went there for a event that they had out there several years ago, and we had weird things happen like that. Like a voice kind of came through your EVP that they were using, and different things like that. A lot of cold places, hearing things, but I never felt any sort of malicious energy, I guess I would say, just sort of what it was. Nothing like you were talking about in the Denny House as far as fun-loving, frivolous, but just sort of, I don't know, neutral, I guess would be the best way to describe that.
And we stay away from Ouija boards. I don't go near that stuff. I stay away from provocation. But at the Huffman House, what also was interesting, we had at that time an SLS camera. So I don't know if anyone is familiar, but it kind of shoots out like a series of like lasers or whatever you want to call it, and then it can map figures.
Okay.
So like if I would point it at you, it map like a stick figure.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we like to do an initial sweep of any location we investigate with the SLS. So we try to capture anything that might be running around or just standing there. And we've had a lot of success doing that. It was at the Huffman House. We were going down the steps, and there's like these, there's tall sliding wooden doors, and there's these drapes that was along the doors. And I was mapping a stick figure in those drapes, and I thought maybe it's just, we do get false positives, whatever.
Sure.
So I would go back upstairs, go back down, try to recreate it, and never recreate it. We were also in the dining room of the Huffman House, and I'm scanning the room, and then I mapped another stick figure hiding in behind the drapery. So it was almost like something was hiding from us using the drapery.
Sure.
And it was a short figure that would make you think it was a child.
Right.
Because I've mapped figures that were tall like adults and short like children. So I don't know if it was using the drapes to hide looking at us. I don't know.
Right.
I'm not saying it was paranormal, but it is interesting.
Yes,
what
it is
we were
very
capturing, because we tried to recreate and we couldn't make it happen.
Wow.
So do you have anything big on the horizon, places you're going to go that you're looking forward to, or?
We're trying to get a hunt lined up at the Greene County Historical Society. I think they're now starting to open it up a little bit. And I've become friends with Danny Strackle. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. He's on Spirit Walk Paranormal.
Okay.
They're on YouTube. They got like 6,000 subscribers. He does amazing work. He's a real good editor. The content's real good. Spirit Walk Paranormal. They're based out of Morgantown, so he's helped me to get in contact with people to do some potential hunts. We're
Sure.
trying to get
Now,
that
Marion
lined
County,
up.
that's Fairmont, correct?
Correct,
Yes.
Fairmont.
Yes.
And we're trying to get a Oddfellows Lodge investigation lined up.
Okay.
So we're might be doing that in November. We're trying to get that lined up. So
Well, so you get together probably every other month or around, just depends on what types of, is this sort of a busy time now? Because we're coming into, October, Halloween. Is this like when everybody wants to go do these types of things that people that maybe are not, as versed in paranormal investigation as you are, even though you kind of call yourself like a hobbyist, I guess. But is this sort of the big time when everybody wants to go to all these types of things?
yeah, because we're entering what, spooky season.
Yes,
with
I was going to
October.
say that's spooky season. That's what I was looking for. Yeah.
So, yeah, it does make it a little bit hard. And Chris and a couple other team members live in South Carolina, so they got jobs.
Right,
We're
sure,
working.
sure.
We got family, so we
Sure,
try
absolutely.
to get together as much as we can.
So you're just trying to find those weekends or whatever that work out
Sure.
for everybody and go. So is there any place that you would like to go in the area? Is there anywhere in Greene County specifically that you've heard there's a lot of activity there, somewhere I'd like to go see?
I don't know the history. Well, somewhere where I guess they caught the witches. Allegedly, Native Americans might have killed some of the locals.
Oh, so like
Crow
the
Massacre?
Crow Massacre?
Yeah, I've heard-
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So that,
Crow's Rock.
yeah,
Crow's
yes.
Rock.
Crow's Rock. So there's nothing left there. It's just an outdoors. There's not any type of structure there.
The rock is still
rock.
there.
I mean,
Yes.
not besides
Right.
the rock. There's not any type of dwelling that's present.
We
that's
we
around
do have a
anymore.
little story on that in this month's GreeneScene coming up.
Oh,
Right.
good,
So you
good.
can read a little bit about that there,
Yes.
the history
So
of it.
Look out for that in the GreeneScene magazine. So we'll have some more of
mentioned-
these interesting stories coming up. Yeah,
Nice
sorry. Go ahead,
layup.
Vicky.
You mentioned Bowlby Library. Did you do a hunt at the library?
We did. I reached out to the Bowlby Library, and how I knew to reach out to them was I saw another YouTube channel called Paranormal Quest. I think they're based out of Wheeling, Moundsville area. They got a huge following on YouTube. They did a investigation of the Bowlby Library. I'm like, well, they seem like they're open to hunts. So I reached out to Bowlby Library on Instagram, and they were very, very gracious to have us there. I'm like, yeah, come on in.
Great.
The place is yours. You do whatever. Feel free to investigate. So that was a fun hunt.
Good. So that also, and anything specific there, like no bad energy like you felt
No.
in the Huffman House?
No.
Well, that's good to know. Since we're sending our children to people are
Right.
sending their children there to get books, it's good. It's
I-
all
yeah.
good-natured spirits there, I guess.
Another
So-
reason why I like Denny and Bowlby, there were no bats.
Oh, yes.
Everywhere else,
That's
there's-
probably,
I hate
we have a
bats.
lot of bats in Greene County. This is for
Yes.
sure. I had my last house, every year there was a bat in there somewhere that we had to get out. Never failed. So, well, we thank you very much, Ronnie. Does anyone have any questions to
Yeah,
ask? You have any other thing you'd like to share?
What about Gettysburg? I know you mentioned Gettysburg, and I know that is a fairly common day trip, so to speak, for folks that live, in and around Greene County. It's what, a 4-hour
Yes,
drive
about
to
a
get out
4-hour
to
drive.
Gettysburg, and
Yes. A lot of
incredibly
schools go on field trips
right,
there,
school
I know.
field
so-
trips, but it's incredibly interesting, the history. And I know for a fact they have ghost walks, ghost tours. I had some experiences. We took my kids when they were younger and visited a specific location, a house, and I had a couple of experiences that, couldn't explain.
Yes.
This was a private home. So another member, Chris Boyle, he studies Civil War. He's a school teacher, professor, all that. And he got to know it's called the Langdon Hill House. And that's the new name of it. He reached out to the owners, and they invited us to come up and do a hunt at the house. And it's on that main drag where the Confederates would have marched. And behind the home was part of the field, so the Confederate soldiers would snipe from their attic in that house.
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of energy there. But
bet.
we had a lot of experiences in the basement of that home, and that was the dowsing rods I'd mentioned. We're getting
Okay.
a lot of intelligent responses. And I'll give you one example. There's a lot, but I had asked the spirit that we were talking to, can you spin the rod in my hand the number of times of people you see in this basement? And it took a little bit of time, but it spun at exactly the number of people in the basement.
Wow.
I don't
Wow.
know. And I could just feel like an energy pull. But that's when I started to believe in that method. So
Yes. Well, that makes sense. And I think all of us in this room have had some sort of experience we can't explain. I know you have, Bret. Maybe we can talk about that on a later podcast.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I know, Vicky, you spoke of that. I've had it myself. I mean, everybody. And I think we've always thought that Greene County was sort of a hotbed for all kinds of paranormal investigations and cryptology sort of.
And again, we have
follows.
a really good story coming up in the GreeneScene this month on that.
Yes. So again, don't forget to read the GreeneScene in the month of October, which a lot of spooky stories coming up maybe, and some other things happening. And of course, all the things happening in the month of October for fall season as we kick off spooky season, I guess you would say.
Yes.
Well, if there's nothing further, I think we've kind of hashed over many of the amazing experiences that Ronnie's had. So we'd just like to thank everybody for joining us today for another episode of the GreeneScene Podcast. I'd like to thank Vicky and Ronnie and Bret for being here today. We'd also like to thank Shelly Brown, who is not with us today, but she will be with us on all our future podcasts. She's donating her time at the food bank today and couldn't be with us for this recording, but we will see her next time, or we will listen to her next time on the GreeneScene Podcast. Thank you.